Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this theme of the month. That was Reiki. We went over the history, we did some practicing, we did some reflection, and now let's get to how do you actually conduct or do a Reiki and or energy healing session. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. So just sit back and relax. If you got a chance to check out all the videos, we're going to use what we learned from there. If you haven't had an opportunity, you're new to the community, or you just got a life, that's normal. Go ahead and check out those videos too if you want some reference to what we're talking about today. I'm excited about our theme next month. Let's do this one. So the first thing we're going to do is when you go into a Reiki session, I'll give you the blanketed template, but I always want you to intuitively do what is best for you, what makes sense to your practice, and merging your different lineages, traditions, and understandings in those space. So the first thing that you do in a Reiki healing session is you will go in and you will do either a prayer, a channeling, something like that. But more traditionally, you will do the Reiki symbols. So in modern days, people will do some type of channeling, some type of ritual, something to do. I said modern days like Reiki isn't new, but nowadays they will do some type of channeling, some type of prayer, some type of mantra work, and then they will do the Reiki symbols. Originally, you can do the Reiki symbols as a part of your channeling and things like that. That's step number one. Let's do that together. So you can do the Reiki symbols. There are numerous symbols that you can go look up and explore. We talked about chokore, which is the building up of energy in the hands because we made it very physical. So going in, you can say the prayer, like the prayer that we say on Reiki Healing Hope. You can do your own prayer, mantra, petition work. I highly encourage you to make your own prayer. Why? You can use the prayer that we use as a template to start, but the intention that you infuse really connects you to your power. You need to have that strength within you. So utilize that in the moment. So you can practice. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your head. If you don't feel like when you're doing it that you're in a space where you can start to do symbols, I have heard people mentally come into a room and then use the corners of the room, infusing the Reiki symbols, which we talked about as being sigils, the Reiki symbols into different corners of the room. You do that before to hold the space. Different people, different lineages and different traditions channel to hold the space in different ways. This is just one of many ways of doing it. So having this moment, we're going to connect. We're going to say a prayer. Do I have your permission to say a prayer? Okay. Dear Mother, Father, God, and all for the highest vibrational good only, please connect us to the Reiki Masters, the Ascendant Masters, Master Jesus, Master Buddha, Master Katumi, Yamonja, Oshun, Mawu, and all the Taras. Please connect us to the Archangel, Spirit Guides, Animal Guides, lineage, and all for our highest vibrational good only, rooting us down in our individual healing experience and bringing us together as a community. I say all of this in the name of I Am, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So then we will go and do our Reiki symbols. I'm going to do Chokore, which is and going one way means one way, going the other means another way. But if you intuitively feel that you want to go a certain way, that's completely fine. So I'm going to the walls of the room. Just to hold the space. Depending on what you are attuned to, you can start with one symbol, the symbol you're attuned to, and you can work up to the other symbols. You can explore how it feels. The attunement process is the initiation and the receiving of the symbols. It opens you up and it expands you to more of the power that is put within the intention of these different symbols. So we just started off with Chokore. When I go into a session, I will do Chokore, I'll do Seheiki, Hanshase Shunyung, I'll do Riku, and I'll go into those spaces to be able to hold the space in the session, especially during the attunement process. The more that you get experienced in being an energy healing practitioner, the more you just internally start to do things. So I don't always feel required to have to do Reiki symbols. Sometimes they come off in the session where I will focus on a certain Reiki symbol, and I will intuitively work with the person, their energy, their energetic helpers, in order to utilize that to create the greatest impact for their own good. That's when you start to get into what is your way of working with this energy and connecting and meshing together. So we did our channeling, we did our symbols, and now we activate the hands, which we did. That was one of the first things we did. And you can do this actually during your channeling session, which we already talked about. Doing whatever feels right to you as you practice. If you want to go into this more, there's a video at the beginning of this theme of the month that goes into it. And then you want to go to the practice. So you can start with the physical body. You can start with the chakra system. You can start with the aura. You can start with the subtle body. I like to work through the chakras. I like to then work out into the aura and the subtle bodies. And during a session, if there is physical pain, if there's something that people are like, oh, I have a tension in my shoulders, I'll work with that aspect, then going over the different areas of the body that needs that relief or that impact, or any messages that are infused in the fascia, the physical aspects of the body. The fascia is just that kind of silver skin that's over the body that can hold different tension, but the energetic fascia that could be over the actual physical body. And it's the way that we explain it. Different lineages will say it in different ways. So there's no right or wrong way of approaching this, but that's what I do. So let's go into this moment. Let's first start with ourselves. So you can scan over the crown, third eye, whatever pops out. That's what's going to lead us in our session, taking as long or as short as you like. And so starting to work through that. Whenever you see me move my hands, or I'm doing things, pulling, plucking, chopping, things like that, those are Metatron healing hand positions to be able to do that. But really, we're working with, they're just a representation. There's different ways to do it. It doesn't have to be this one way. We're working with our energy, or initiating our energy to be able to initiate an impact within the person. Also, when you're channeling and you're starting off, you never use your life force. You're using this connection to universe, source, God, the energy around us, in order to feed you and to feed that person to be receptive to the healing session. Okay, so let's go through. So I'm going to work on activating your hands to make sure that your hands are fully activated and receptive. So energetically taking your hands, warming them up, bringing the energy of the universe into your hands so that you feel that power, allowing it to collect from the root to the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, to the crown, all the way up, all the way down. Okay? Feeling this. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing in that energy into the body. Now take those hands and place them somewhere on you that you felt like you needed that release. An easy one could be the neck, tension there, or the third eye, trying to see that vision. Place it there. Now start to intuitively work with the body of whatever needs to come up as you're shifting. Don't stop until you start to feel something different. You can continue to go through the rest of the body, working through that too. Okay? So you're just going to do those things over and over again, exploring. A part of it is exploring the aspect. Now, the biggest difference between working on yourself and working on another person is you're doing that, but you are having to be a little bit more trusting because you're sending it, or you're working on something that can't give you instant feedback. Now, you can work with someone in person, or you can ask for their feedback. You can do what is called a Reiki share, where people share, go back and forth, and they receive that beautiful feedback. Or you can, if maybe it's the type of person who's not really that receptive, but you do want to send healing, or it's just a stranger, you want to send healing to a strong intention, you can then start to lean in later to just check in to see, has there been an impact? Has there been subtle changes or different changes? You might be intending to bring some healing into a foot, and then you realize that they get a new opportunity at work, just different things. So just pay attention to that. And that is actually going to lean more into the intuitive training, which we'll talk a bit about during next month's theme, which are the spirit guides, the animal guides, and things like that. So you're doing that and you're working on another person. So I'm going to go back to your hands, okay? And this time you pulling in that energy to infuse your hands. And I want you to think about a person that you love, that you want to send that energy to them. They don't have to be alive. They can be, someone that maybe you don't even know, you just love them, or someone in your everyday life that you love. Infusing in your hands, I want you to then go to their aura, the energy that is around them, and just start to clear things away. So you're removing any setbacks, any blockages, anything that could get in their way. You just are setting the intention for them to just have a nice, lovely, beautiful day. And then you can start to work on other aspects too, okay? With the highest vibrational good of intention. So let me explain something to you. When you're working with energy on another person, the person has to be receptive. You can go in and work on someone every day, and if they're just in a negative funk, they will outweigh or outshadow or out energize you. You can bring them some relief, but you're going to be exhausted trying to make someone be receptive to something or send them healings when they're not ready. So the best you can do is just do your good karma, send that energy, out there and just let it be. Because what it does is it knocks on the person's soul energetically, saying you are loved. You deserve compassion. If you are open to that within yourself, then the opportunities will show up. But you do not want them to be dependent on you. And also, sometimes when people aren't ready, but they are looking for it, they then do become dependent on a lot of people that's around them. This is actually a reason, as an energy healing practitioner, that oftentimes I won't really take clients that I know well. It is easier for me to work with people that I don't know. And the reason why that is because if it's someone I know, I will typically create just a loving environment and do beautiful healing sessions in which I'm wanting them to focus on healing themselves. But what I learned early on in my healing journey is that when people associate you with their healing and not themselves, then they start to want you to enable them, or they start to become dependent on you. So I always create very strong boundaries with the people in my life to say, I would love to facilitate a healing space for you where you'll work on yourself. I'll tell you these things that you need to do, but I don't typically do the sessions with them unless I'm just like, you want to come and relax? Yeah, come on over here. Or my girl who's like, Reiki me. I'm like, I don't think that's how you use the word, but okay, come on over here, and have a good time. But it's just, that's a part of the boundaries. That's actually more of a conversation that I get into during the Reiki Master Teacher Training, which I'm going to be working on for the next couple of months. I told everyone on YouTube, and just a gentle reminder here, if anybody wants an individual healing session with me, do so before June 1st, because even though I will accommodate appointments that are booked before June 1st into the month of June, I really do focus on June to August, setting up the Reiki Master Teacher Training and just making sure that I'm pouring in everything into it as a great foundation as an energy healing practitioner, going on and on and on and on. And so the amount of work that it takes in the individual sessions, I just have to be able to kind of pour that into these other spaces. And you can book an appointment, ReikiHealingHope.com, or you can not. I'm just letting you know. So back into this space, trying to explain the separation between working on yourself and working on others. Now, how do you end the session? Okay. Because you went in, you started to explore, you did what you needed to do, and not everything has to have an intention, meaning like you have to accomplish this. No, sometimes it's just going to explore to get to know yourself. That is the most loving thing you can do, by just exploring your energy, checking in with yourself, removing anything that's coming up. Just the way that you may bathe yourself is the way that you work energetically. Other things you can do is, as I talk about often, doing those Epsom salt soaks, whether in the bath or you're putting your hands in it, a solution with it in there, or soaking the feet and going through your channeling session, that deeply amplifies what's happening, and you discarding of that liquid to be able to release and to let it go. So in order to close the session up, many people do different things. You can simply just thank you for the opportunity, releasing, letting it go, allowing them to be receptive. I'm so appreciative. Boom, you're done. You can also smooth over their aura, meaning when you go into a Reiki session, an energy healing session, and a person is receptive, they're really open. Boom, they're open. So that's why you want to close them up. You're not closing them off to the opportunity, but it's almost like when someone does surgery, they open a person up to work on it. You don't just leave them open just because you needed to open them up to work on it. You close it back up so that they are nice, they're in their body, and they can go about life, and not be so, because they're super sensitive in the moment, to not be like, oh, like there's too much energy going on. Typically after a session and even the entombment process, just have an easy day and a relaxed day so that you don't get too much information coming at you at one time. So you can smooth over their aura. And you have to really work with your own intuition and your trust of when that's enough. You can choose a particular number, or you can just let it be. And then sealing with the sign of the infinity is a representation that everything is infinite. Nothing ever really ends or begins. Energy just retransforms. Nothing's really positive or negative. It's just at different vibrational forces. So when people hold on to a lower vibrational experience, they're not letting that energy go and evolve and to move into something else. So just as a representation, understanding that we will always be in these cycles. There's going to be a new cycle, I did an intuitive session in which a person was like, I wanted this to be over, and then now it's a new cycle. And it's like, your entire life, baby, is going to be a new cycle. There's going to be cycles on top of cycles, things that you're doing well, things that are a little bit more challenging. That's life. That is life. So enjoy it, because it's all just wisdom gathering. That's all it is. And then cleansing yourself. Okay, so going through that cleansing process of just letting it go, you might light your favorite herb to cleanse yourself. And also a part of the channeling process, you might light your favorite herbs or use your favorite tools to create the environment or to set the environment. You can do that to close it up as well. In my early process, it was very important for me to wear certain colors. I often wore white. I would wear white and blue. I would always make sure that I had bathed before, I was balanced before I would do all of these things, to go through what is called ritual, the process of something. Because when you are learning how to become more familiar with the energy, you kind of have to create that habit or go about a habit that lets you connect. And then the more and more you do that, you just have a new process or a new way or a new understanding that you infuse into what goes into the experience. So that's it in a nutshell. If you are really connected to being an energy healing practitioner by way of becoming a Reiki master and continuing on to learn even more modalities for self-healing and to heal others, I will be having the Reiki Master Teacher Training in August. The sign up will probably come up in July, because there is a complete month before the actual training starts, because the training starts the month before, the work that you need to do on your own, and then it comes together for more learning in the attunement process or initiation within itself. And so all of those things, if this is something you feel really connected to and you would like for me to guide you through the process, that information is going to be coming up soon. I really try my hardest to make it in a way in which it actually roots in the principle of self-healing and then healing others into the practice. And as you go through the different levels, it requires different amounts of energy or different amounts of understanding. And I try to guide those through the process. Well, super excited about next month's theme. I cannot wait to jump in there. I'm trying to get some intuitive spirit guide channeling from Refocus to jump in there too if you really enjoyed that session with her. Well, I will see you for our next month theme. Yay!